Hey, what's up guys, it's Flameace back here with another video. Today we'll be doing What If Naruto Had an Ancient Dark Doujutsu Part 5. And I wanted to apologize for calling Part 4, Part 3 in the video. I'm sorry for that. So yes, in this video, Naruto would... Well, I'm not going to talk about that yet. But also I got a new intro, so roll the clip. Okay, we're back. This might be a shorter video. It might be only 20 minutes long, but that's because I gotta do something important. But I'll try to make it longer than that if I can, but it might be a little short. So yeah. Naruto, Gaara, Sasuke, and Tenten would basically be out on a stroll during the training journey. So yes, they would actually be out on a stroll. What would happen would be Pain would actually try to find the group, but he'd eventually see that they were back at what's it called? Pain would eventually see that they were back at keep on forgetting the name. They were where they were hiding out, where Jiraiya was. So he'd try to find them. In the process, he questioned Jiraiya, and he'd actually kill Jiraiya after that. Pain would kill Jiraiya. Naruto and the others wouldn't know at this point. What would happen would be, while Naruto, Sasuke, Tenten, and Gaara were on the stroll, they basically Naruto would say, "I sense something." They'd see Itachi, Pain, Deidara, and Toby. Naruto would say, "What are you doing here?" Pain would say, to steal the beast inside you and kill you." They'd basically all rush the floor. Gaara would fight Deidara, and this Gaara would have more training, and he wouldn't have his tailed beast ripped out. So he'd be stronger at this point. And Shikaku and him actually formed a bond. Gaara would say, "Shikaku." Shikaku would say, "Yes, girl. Yes, girl." What would happen would be Gaara would say, "Let's go." Well, it'd be in a more ominous voice, like, "Let's go." Well, not like that ominous, but you get what I mean. He'd say, "Let's go." Gaara would actually, basically take his sand, and he'd say, "Shikaku, do it." Shikaku would infuse Bijudama with the sand, creating black sand. This sand was hot to the touch, being very strong. It'd be the strongest type of sand in shinobi history. The strongest sand manipulation. Gaara had great control over this sand. And yeah. Gaara would actually, he'd bury Deidara in this sand. Deidara would say, "How's a pipsqueak like you controlling this black sand?" Literally being burned alive. This was when Gaara and the rest of them was around 13. They'd say, "How's a pipsqueak like you controlling dark sand? This is dark sand." Gaara would say, "I am not a pipsqueak. I am instead your Reaper. Deidara would actually break free from the dark sand, running around. Deidara would actually take a clay bomb and throw it at him. Gaara would think instantly and cover the clay bomb with black sand, basically shielding the explosion. It still made a loud sound, but it would stop the explosion from happening. Deidara would actually pull out another clay bomb, throwing it, and then he'd say, "Art is an explosion!" Just creating a lot of them. He'd just create like an explosion, but Gaara thought again to do the same thing, covering it with sand. Gaara would say, "I'm getting tired of this game." And Gaara would actually, he'd mold some sand to look like Shikaku. It'd be like a more miniaturized Shikaku, not as big, but Shikaku would say, "Thanks, Gaara." And then this Shikaku would actually be hosting this Shikaku looking like body. He'd then run and punch Deidara. Toby would actually teleport and catch Deidara. Naruto would say, "I'm not done with you yet," running up to Toby and socking him in the face. Naruto would say, "Let's go! Let's go! Yummy! Let's go, Mangekyo Rinnegan! Mangekyo Rinnegan! First ability, Limbo Clone!" Summoning Limbo Clones that would start fighting Toby. Naruto would then perform his signature move. The reality phasing Rasengan is what I call it. The matter shaping Rasengan. Naruto would basically create a Rasengan and run towards Toby. He'd basically barrage Toby still with the Rasengan in his hand. Naruto would actually turn intangible for a short minute, basically taking the Rasengan and running through Toby. Naruto would then snap his fingers. Toby would look like he was in such agony. This would be because Naruto wouldn't have a Rasengan in his hand anymore. This would be because while Naruto was running through Toby, he actually stopped the Rasengan. So the Rasengan was just spinning intangibly in Toby's body. So yeah, then when Naruto snapped his fingers and destroyed his intangibility, the Rasengan started to take effect. So yeah. Naruto would then say, "Let's go!" Naruto would weave together a few hand signs and say, "Voids," and then he'd say, I'm renaming Naruto's style, darkness style, to void style. Void style. Void style. Well, Naruto would then say, "Void style. Quadruple He'd say, "Void style. Quadruple space dragon blast." These dragons would all rush towards Toby, basically trying to bite Toby. One dragon would actually whip Toby with a tail. Then they'd actually charge up Rasengans, and then they'd in their mouths what it looked like to be, and then they'd release it in a blast, a purple blast. These dragons would be black with white spots all over them, and they'd have blue eyes. They'd all basically try to hit Toby, but Toby would turn intangible, having the dragon's blast go straight toward him. One dragon would actually then zoom to the back of Toby, throwing a blast at him. Toby would actually be hit, taking damage. we cut to Tenten's part of the battle. Tenten would be fighting Itachi with her chakra chains. Itachi wouldn't take too much damage, but neither would Tenten, both of them being evasive. Tenten would say, "Let's go! Let's go!" She'd say, "Let's go! Blue kunai rain!" Throwing a lot of kunai in the air. Then enriching them with blue fire, making them blue kunai, and say, "Matabi, let's do this." Matabi would then actually kind of just go and she'd basically she'd throw a Biju Dama at the guy I always forget his name. She'd throw a Biju Dama at Itachi. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. Basically sending Itachi a little bit into the air. Then the blue kunai would actually start coming down onto Itachi. The Biju Dama and the blue kunai would actually kind of sandwich Itachi, hitting him from both sides. Then, after the jutsu was released, Itachi would be slightly damaged, but not fully. Tenten would basically then, after that, create 5 blue rings on her fingers. On her 10 fingers. She'd basically shake her hands making chains. She'd basically shake her hands making blue chains appear attached to kunai. Tenten would then kind of just slash Itachi with a whip, with like a ring whip. Slashing him with 5 kunai every time she went in. And these would be very hot kunai. Tenten would say, "Let's go!" She'd basically, she'd twirl all the kunai upwards, reforming the kunai to become a giant blade. Then all the chains would actually become just one big chain, and the rings around her fingers would merge to become a handle. To become like a small handle. So then Tenten would basically run in with a giant kunai attached to giant chains. She'd basically just hit Itachi with these giant chains, just destroying Itachi mixed in with the burn ratio of the chains. This would do serious damage. Now we cut back to Naruto fighting Tobi. Tobi would use Kamui, but then Naruto would use Kamui. They'd basically be fighting. Naruto would then kick Tobi and then basically just throw another Kamui, forcing Obito back into the real world. Then Naruto would create some Limbo clones, then go back to the real world and have the Limbo clones fight Tobi. But these, I'm gonna call these Limbo clones, Kamui clones, because these Limbo clones actually exist on the plane of Kamui. So yeah. Naruto's Kamui clones would actually just keep on fighting him. Naruto would then say, "Let's go." He'd basically throw out a chakra orb, and Obito would say, "What's that?" Naruto would then, while the chakra orb was still in the air, blast his chakra into it. Naruto's giant one-edged kunai. Naruto's giant one-edged sword with a black blade would come down. Naruto would grab his sword, running towards Tobi. Naruto, despite the size of the extremely large weapon, would be very evasive, and he'd be able to move pretty easily. Naruto would then say, "Let's go! 12 past Sage Mode!" Then Naruto would basically 12 past Sage Mode, or "Let's go! Moon style, 12 pass sage mode. Sasuke would then say, now we cut to Sasuke fighting Pain. Sasuke would then say, let's go. 12 pass sage mode, sun style. Creating Sasuke an orange-looking sage mode attire. Sasuke would rush towards Pain, fighting him for every step. Pain would actually take one of the chakra pikes, and then they'd summon the ghetto statue, and they'd get one of the pikes into Sasuke and try to steal Isobu. So yeah, they'd already have Roshi and the other ones, such as they'd already have the ones that they'd already have all the tail beasts that Gaara, besides the ones that they had all the tailed beasts besides Gaara, Rasori. I don't think they need Rasori, but yeah. They didn't have Gaara, they didn't have Shikaku, they didn't have Rasori, they didn't have Matabe, and they didn't have Isobu. Isobu, I think is named the Three Tails. So Naruto would just kind of do the same thing, just getting stronger. Well, not getting stronger, but yeah, he'd do the same thing. After he knocked Toby away, Toby would actually get one of the pikes into Naruto. Then they'd easily get a pike into Tenten. Deidara would actually die. And then they get a pike into Gaara. They'd summon the ghetto statue and mix all the chakra. They'd summon the ghetto statue and mix all the chakra. They'd make an artificial 10 tails kind of thing. Well, not a full 10 tails. But what would happen would be, well, yeah, they'd make an artificial 10 tails, and then they'd fuse the 10 tails into Obito. So yeah, what would happen would be, after they made Obito the 10 tails Jinchuriki, they all escaped besides Obito. Obito would say, now that I'm finally complete, I'll kill you. What would happen would be, they'd basically kind of just, okay, but yeah, guys, I'm back. Obito would say, and then he'd basically rush off. He'd rush off. Naruto and them would actually be very scared about this. They'd be very, scared about this, not knowing what it was. A few of them, they'd actually kind of, they'd be like, ah. But, I'm gonna say Momoshiki sensing a little bit of Maya's chakra in this giant orb, and Obito would be like, I sense a little bit of Kaguya's chakra rushing to Earth. What would happen would be Naruto would actually rush. Who was I gonna say again? Naruto would try to rush Obito, getting basically just pimp slap because they chased after Obito. Obito would say, we are going to delay the fight, but if you want to die so bad, then there be it. Obito would actually stop and try to fight Naruto. Naruto would perform a 50 tails cloak, knowing that he had to stop him. So what would happen after this would be, they'd kind of all just fight, I guess. And this would be a 50 tails cloak. Naruto would also put in his doujutsu. Naruto then, after seeing this, would see Obito. Obito would say, "Which one of you shall I kill first?" Obito would then point towards Tenten. Obito would basically shoot a laser type thing. Not exactly, but he'd shoot a chakra beam through Tenten's heart, killing her. Well, almost killing her. But to Naruto, she was dead. Naruto, getting angry, would summon all of his tails, becoming having the true chakra tail unleashed, bringing forth 100 tails. Naruto would then say, "Let's go! Void style! Let's go! Void style! 12 past Sage mode! Void mode!" Having an all-black appearance instead of his once white appearance, symbolizing the moon. Naruto would then say, "Ah!" Getting angry. Then his eyes would change. His eyes would become a weird type of look. His eyes would be, like I was saying, Naruto's eyes would turn blue. And Naruto would yell, "Astro Renegon!" Getting angry. Naruto would unleash all of his power, Obito barely being able to keep up. Then what would happen would be Madara would actually come and take the 10 tails and kill Obito. Then what would happen would be Madara would say, "I'm merging with the God Tree." There wouldn't be really much of a fight because Madara would instantly try to merge with the God Tree. And then Kaguya would come out. Sensing Kaguya's chakra, Momoshiki rushed to Earth, finally appearing on Earth, saying, "Kaguya, where have you been?" Kaguya would say, I was dead. I mean, no, this would be Maya, because Kaguya was a good person in this what if, so yeah. This was Kaguya's sister, Maya. Maya would say, "I've been dead, but I have finally been revived." Then Momoshiki would actually say, "Who are these people?" Kaguya would then say, "They are my enemies. I will kill them." Momoshiki would then say, "Okay, then let me help you." They'd both rush them. Naruto being angry in his state, Sasuke would actually be angry seeing Tenten die too. So Sasuke would unlock the final state. Well, Sasuke would have unlocked a Astrogon too, saying, "Naruto, it's time we finish this." Being in his 3 tails state, Sasuke would say, "Let's go, universe style. Let's go, universe style, 12 patch Sage mode, universe mode." Sasuke would have a bright red cloak, while Naruto would have a black cloak. They'd both yell out, "Let's finish this." Naruto would take on Momoshiki, while Sasuke would take on Kaguya. Gaara would try to help every now and then, but Gaara was mostly busy actually taking care of Tenten. Gaara would actually deploy this sand. I will call this sand Oasis sand. This sand would actually have very strong healing properties, being next to a very strong oasis with like a healing prowess to it. This would be given to Gaara by Jiraiya, since Jiraiya had no use for it. He'd then just say, "Here you go, man. ignore all these pictures. Naruto and Sasuke would both be battling Kaguya and Momoshiki. They'd both be trying their hardest, and keep in mind, they were 13 at this time. This takes place a little while before Shippuden. Naruto would take on Momoshiki, barely winning. Momoshiki would have to go full power from the start. Naruto would clash fists with Momoshiki, barely even just keeping up with Momoshiki when Momoshiki was at full power. Naruto would then say, Sasuke would be blitzing Kaguya, barely kicking Kaguya from side to side in the air. Sasuke would then charge up a Ridori. Sasuke would then charge up a red Ridori, basically throwing the Ridori at Kaguya, sending Kaguya flying backwards. What would happen after that is that they'd just be fighting for a little while. Naruto would say, Sasuke, we have to finish this quick. Sasuke would then say, you sure? Naruto would then say, yes, we have to. We have to finish the jutsu that Deidara tried to tell us. Naruto would then shoot out all of his chakra into one orb. Sasuke would then shoot out all of his chakra into one orb. What would happen after that would be Naruto would actually they'd use all the chakra that they could, pouring every last bit into it, knowing that it might kill them both. The orbs would both be red and black. Naruto and Sasuke would then fuse the orbs, creating a half red, half black orb. They'd then say, let's go! This is our last chance! Naruto and Sasuke would then run up to Momoshiki and Kaguya saying, here you go, and I hope you die. They'd basically take the giant energy. They'd take the perfect universal Rasen Dorigan, and they'd take it and they'd just throw it towards them. Sasuke and Naruto would then start controlling the ball, maneuvering the ball up, dragging up Momoshiki and Kaguya into the air. Once they got far enough into space, Naruto and Sasuke would both go into their strongest form. Naruto would say, Baryon mode! Sasuke would say, Baryon mode, making the ball even bigger. They only did this right then so that they wouldn't destroy everything around them. They then put their hands up, dishing out all the chakra that they could. They'd then both close their fists, saying, and they'd then say, then after they close their fists, they would then say, let's go. This is for our planet, Earth. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, for I'm not human. I'm Otsutsuki and Astral. I've lived a decent life here on Earth. Sasuke would then say, I'm Sasuke Uchiha. I've lived on Earth too, being a descendant of the Otsutsukis, fighting along with my cousin Naruto. Then they'd say, it's time to finish things. They'd both close their hands, creating a giant explosion that you could see for miles. This explosion would be even bigger than Madara's meteor, creating a giant explosion. This would actually create a giant explosion, being strong enough to destroy the meteor. It'd be able to destroy a lot of meteors. So what they do is that just kind of they'd explode it, knowing that they might die. Gaara, after healing Tenten with the Oasis Sand, would say, "Naruto, Sasuke." Naruto and Sasuke would then turn around, exiting from Baryon mode, and then they'd wave to them and say, and then Naruto would say, "Gaara, take care of Tenten for me." Gaara would say, "What?" Naruto and Sasuke would both fall over. Both of them would be coughing up blood. They'd be on the brink of death. Gaara would actually try to heal them with the Oasis Sand. They would survive. Naruto and Sasuke would say, "You want to light off some fireworks, Sasuke?" After they were healed, this would be 30 minutes later. And Sasuke would say, "We already did." Then the explosion would actually reach the air, creating a giant firework-looking thing. Because the explosion actually traveled a long distance. The ball actually traveled a long distance, but the explosion just got there. Naruto, Sasuke, and Tenten, and Gaara would all watch in amazement, saying, "I guess that's it." Naruto would say, "What's it?" Sasuke would say, "I guess that's the end of our great shinobi adventures." Naruto would then say, "Heck no, man. Our shinobi adventures are just started. We gotta still push through. We're not done yet." Okay, guys, that will be the end of What If Naruto Had an Ancient Dark Doujutsu and an Unknown Tailed Beast. I know you weren't expecting it to be the end, and I know some of you might be a little sad, but there's no real way to finish something without being sad. There are a few ways, but yeah. So let's all be happy that the series happened, not that the series ended. So yeah. There's gonna be a little break from making videos so I can make a new video. There's gonna be a little break from making videos because I need to think of a new idea for a what if. I know some of you guys are gonna be sad with the way that I ended the show off. Some of you might be angry at most, but I'm sorry, but the show had to end eventually. It got pretty long, so yeah. This will conclude What If Naruto Had an Ancient Dark Doujutsu and an Unknown Tailed Beast. We even got a special intro set up on the last episode. So, guys, I want to thank you for being here to witness this series unfold with me. I want to thank you for just helping me get through with this series and actually inspiring me. I was inspired to make a series. I didn't know how well it'd do. It's not the best right now. But yeah, it's good enough for me. I didn't know if it'd do well or people would hate it. But I'm thankful that you guys actually liked my what if idea. So yeah, this is Flame Ace signing out with a goodbye. I'm not leaving YouTube. I'm just leaving this what if. So thanks guys for tuning in to this what if. Thanks for giving me all the support that you did. You guys really helped me and inspired me. I was only making this what if for fun, but once I saw that people liked it, it became something usual for me. So, yeah. I'll be sad too when this is gone and when I have to upload this video. But, bye guys, it's Flame Ace signing out. Make sure to say goodbye to this series. So, peace out guys.